I've got some very exciting news. You might notice that 34-degree mark over at Ted Stevens International Airport. This is not only the first 32-degree temperature that we've seen this March, but it's the warmest temperature that we have seen since February 6th. Now, you also notice that across town, we are seeing these temperatures reaching up as high as 40 degrees. We're going to continue this warming trend as our week progresses, so look forward to that. But if you are in areas like Fairbanks, we have yet to see that 32-degree mark and even warmer. We're in second place right now for the latest start to the spring of seeing that 32-degree temperature. So far, the highest temperature that you've seen this month is 30 degrees, and that was just on the 29th. But the last 32-degree high temperature that you saw was back in January. So hopefully this week we will finally make that mark, but it's likely that you will have the latest start to that 32-degree temperature on record. Now, right now across the region, Fairbanks 28 degrees with some of those clouds beginning to roll in, but you'll notice that a good chunk of the state is still facing these mostly sunny to clear skies. Anchorage seeing that 34-degree high, which I am very excited about. But over in Southeast, we are still holding on to just a little bit more of that wet weather. We're going to continue to see a little bit more of that as that low pressure system in the Gulf does begin to track on through, and this is going to continue overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning just slightly. Then you'll notice that low pressure system is going to start tracking south just a little bit more. We've got high pressure across the entire state, keeping fairly dry conditions, although you will see a little bit more of that cloud cover into western Alaska for tomorrow and this week. But the next big weather maker is going to be this low pressure system along the Aleutian chain. That's already bringing a little bit of rain into areas like Adak and Atka. This is going to bring a little bit more of that wet weather spanning all the way up the Alaska Peninsula and eventually making its way into bits of southwest Alaska. And then we do have a chance of some snow later on this week into parts of south central, but we'll have a little bit more on that as we progress through this week. Now, this is that low pressure system. You can see some parts of that frontal system moving through. All of that white is that moisture and that cloud cover. But as we shift over into southeast Alaska, this winter weather advisory is the only advisory that we have across the state. This will expire on Tuesday at 4 a.m. with that snowfall of about 2 to 5 inches. One thing that I want you to know about that snowfall is that it's mostly going to roll through in the overnight hours as those lows reach below freezing. So you'll notice that as we track that snowfall, about 3 inches by Tuesday morning, but then it does begin to dry off and slow down quite a bit by the time the evening rolls around. These high temperatures are still kind of fighting with those chances of seeing that snowfall, so it will transition to more of a rainy mix, and then you won't see much of that snow accumulate as it begins to melt off throughout the day. Now, as we look ahead for southeast, seeing a little bit of dry conditions for the northern portion with these high temperatures reaching into the mid-40s through most of the region. Still feeling a little bit cooler out in Haines at 38 degrees. Into the interior, some of that cloud cover is rolling in, but still dry conditions throughout the region. High temperatures likely to be 27 degrees for Fairbanks and still chasing that 32-degree mark that we're likely to get later on this week, closing out the March month with some cooler temperatures. And for the North Slope, seeing a little bit more of those partly cloudy skies, high temperatures reaching up from about 10 to 15 degrees for those highs. Western Alaska seeing that transition from mostly sunshine to some of that cloud cover rolling through, high temperatures in the 20s throughout the entire region. And in the Aleutians, Adak holding on to a little bit more of that moisture that I had mentioned. You'll see more of that trend pushing on through the next couple of days as that low pressure system tracks up the Alaska Peninsula. Before south central, some of those scattered showers for Kodiak in the morning hours. Before the rest of the region, mostly sunshine and partly cloudy skies at times. Otherwise, really just mostly sunny skies and nearing 40-degree high temperatures all across the entire region, all the way from the Copper River Basin up into Matsu and even down into Anchorage. That's where we're still holding on to some of these warmer temperatures pushing on through this week. And then by Friday night into Saturday, that's when we do see a return in that chance of snow, but otherwise plenty of sunshine for this week.
What a lovely forecast.
I know, right? I'm loving forecasting this kind of weather.
Absolutely.
We're on bringing the good news. Thank you, Bailey.